Dear students, welcome in today's lecture. Today we are going to start another course which is Anthropological Linguistics. It is a new coursework which we are going to start today, and today is the brief introduction of this course, that what you are going to study in the course, what are its different dimensions and what are its applications. As you know, linguistics is the science of language. It deals with the study of human language. You can have many definitions of linguistics because now you are an advanced learner of linguistics. So you are quite familiar with this concept. But anthropology is a new concept for you. So by definition, anthropology is the science of humanity, which studies human being in aspects of society and culture. In this study, we understand human practices, human nature, and human activities, especially in aspects of society and culture, that how human beings move in society and how they work and how they are influenced by their culture. Thus, when you combine anthropology with linguistics, so linguistic anthropology becomes the study of how language is used in everyday life and how it is integrated into various cultures around the world. So basically, in linguistic anthropology, you understand the relationship between language and culture and society. That what is the role of language in your culture or in your society, and how they are interrelated and how they can influence each other, how language can influence your society and culture, and how culture and society influence your language. This is the study which is called linguistic anthropology. So aim of such study is to understand why the people of a culture do a particular thing that comes under the umbrella of anthropology. But when you are talking about anthropological linguistics, so that study is based on Sapir-Whorf hypothesis that we have already discussed, which proposes that people of different cultures think and behave differently because the languages that they speak require them to do so. In other words, the way individuals view the world around them is affected by the language they use to interpret their world. If you remember in the lecture where we discussed Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, we discussed that according to this concept, the different practices by human beings, the way they speak, the way they move in society, or the way they perform different actions in society in their real lives, those things are influenced by the language. The way person thinks and the way his opinions and thinking is formed is quite influenced by language. So that is an idea given by Sapir and Whorf. Since only human beings speak, language is a purely human practice. So anthropologists are keenly interested in language use. Their basic subject of study is how human beings use language, what is the structure of language, how that language changes, and they also study relationships among language, society and culture, that how they are interrelated. So the study included speech communities. Speech communities are a very important subject in anthropological linguistics. The performings of language, how language is performed and how language is socialized, how you socialize through language, and how you can play different power roles through language, how power is acquired or power is asserted through language. All of these things, or all of such kind of things, are studied under anthropological linguistics. These are the basic areas of interest of anthropological linguists. Speech communities. Any human association characterized by regular and frequent interaction by means of shared body of verbal signs and set off from similar association by significant differences in language usage. Now the question is, what makes a speech community? A community, a larger group of people, when they speak similar language, they are called speech community. So the concept speech community initially focused on language, system, relationships and boundaries. It expanded to include the notion of social representation and norms. Definitely, when a community is very individual, they can represent themselves by some single language. They have specific norms, they have specific sort of attitudes, values, beliefs and practices, and how they can exhibit those things, how they can show or they can uphold those values, beliefs and systems, how they can show themselves by language, the way they speak. So all of these things make speech communities. So language in such situations or conditions bring those people together, and they are called speech communities. What is performing of a language? It can be separated to conversation as a culture, when you use conversation as a cultural tool, or to give gesture or to give some sort of image of yourself. These are the two functions of language. Joffman's studies of the orderliness of interaction based on his own observations, he reveals important ways we could look at how people actively collaborate in the everyday presentation, interpretation of selves and activities, like how they perform their daily activities, living in a society and culture, or they achieve all of these goals through language. Language is the main tool to achieve any goal or to perform any goal. And secondly, they use language to give gestures about their own individual personalities. You can understand different cultures, different sort of speaking styles, why they are different in different countries. You have to analyze the differences, the way they speak. In America, you always refer to your elders as ma'am or sir. You never call name. Then to show respect, it is considered when you want to be polite. So it is considered polite to assist people with their tasks. And to be respectful to your elders, it is a good gesture while you are riding in a car. So it is a polite gesture to let elder person sit in the front seat. It is a gesture only. And asking marital status is considered rude there. People don't like to be asked about their marital status, like whether they are single or married. So these are their social norms. These are the few things which can be different from our culture, from our country. So this is called anthropology. These social differences are called anthropological differences. But they are not linguistic anthropology. These systems are more related with culture. So they are norms. They come under anthropology. So in Japan, respect for your elders is a huge aspect. You may bow to them when you want to show respect to your elder ones. You bow to them. And when you say hello or goodbye, you bow yourself in front of them. Whereas in Pakistan, in our culture, it is not considered very well. We don't bow in front of elders, right? So when addressing your authority members, you would use a word in Japanese that means thank you for working for us. When you are working with some company, with some colleague, so it is a good gesture to thank them. While talking to your mom, you would say mother instead of mama. They don't like to call their mother mama. If you speaking to an elder, you might say their name, but their name must be followed by a word san at the end of the addressing as a token of respect. So san is the word when you are talking to some elder one. You can call their names. They don't consider bad to call people's name when they are elder ones, but with their names you have to add the word san. Oftentimes in high school or middle school, students will refer to older student senpai. This is also a sign of respect. If you don't call people by their titles where they have dedicated to different categories of people, so it is considered to be rude to call people's name without their titles. Let's have an overview of Filipinese people. The first sign of respect to your elders in Philippines is when you meet them. So you put their hand on your forehead as a greeting. There is a word of respect in the language. It is pu. It is used in a lot of settings to show respect. When you address someone who is elder to you, and when they ask you to do something, so it is called utos. And if you refuse to do that thing, it is considered very shameful. And openly criticizing people, open criticism is considered very rude in their culture. What are gestures? People routinely gesture in interaction, and we commonly assume their gestures are meaningful. The way of speaking is something else by which we can communicate our personalities, our feelings, our emotions, our different intentions, but gestures also do a great deal. So they range from gesture and body language to the use of interpersonal space, that how much space you want to keep with people, different employment of signs and symbols, and use of time structures. So in America, okay, to show okay as a gesture, you thumb up. You show thumbs up to say okay or good. To call somebody near, if you roll your finger, if you curl your finger, it is considered okay, but it is not considered okay in Pakistan because our anthropology is quite different. These are not considered rude in America. To prolong eye contact, you can have eye contact to show people that you are making that you are listening to them very carefully, or to show confidence. It is considered good to have a prolonged eye contact, but in our culture or in more conservative cultures, it is not considered very good thing, and they considered it very rude to pick nose in public, and most of the cultures don't approve of this thing. Middle finger to someone's face is directly known as abuse and F word. It is not considered a good sign. Let's talk about Asia. Nose picking is very ugly to watch in Western countries, though in Asia, khas taur pe in China, it is perfectly acceptable to pick your nose in public. And they considered prolonged eye contact rude almost everywhere in Asia. Now let's talk about greetings. When two people meet each other, it is a necessity to shake hands with other person in America. So hand-to-hand contact is considered okay and pleasant when meeting a stranger. When two people who are equal, like two friends, when they meet, they give high five, fist bump, or they can hug each other, and this is the way of their meeting. And greeting styles can vary from culture to culture. This is about America. In Europe, in most of Europe, when somebody meets someone, they meet them with a kiss on the cheek. It is a European style to kiss on cheek, except in England, where touching in England touching is not considered very appropriate. They don't like to be more physical while meeting somebody. They only have a handshake or nod of a head, which is considered more appropriate. In Asia, they don't like to shake hands, and they like to exchange a kiss to the cheek. Also in Asia, it also can vary from country to country. It also depends on the religious and social norms of the country. Now let's talk about same gender gestures, like girl to girl or boy to boy. So in America, it is considered homosexual when two people with same sex or same gender are going on the road hand in hand in public, so they are considered to be homosexual. They don't consider it very normal in their culture. In South America, it is even considered dangerous to hold hands, especially in same gender. If two girls are walking hand in hand, two boys are walking hand in hand, because homosexuality is extremely looked down upon. And in Asia, it is normal for two same-sex people to hold hands in public, and people don't judge them because they don't think that they are homosexual, because there is homosexuality is not very much prevalent in Asia, so they don't consider physical touch between same sex as homosexuality, because they are not, there is no you can say homosexuality is not very much common in Asia, so the issue is not prevalent here. Language socialization. So it is defined, language socializations, as the process of getting socialized through language. Socializing means meeting people, performing different actions, social actions, making business, making exchange, and performing different actions. So how those actions are achieved through language, this is called language socialization. The studies should fulfill 3 criteria. This should be ethnographic in design, longitudinal in perspective, like from older to newer, demonstrate the acquisition of particular linguistic and cultural practices over time and across different contexts. So this is how you can study language socialization. How you study power in language? Language plays a crucial role in mediating differences in power between speakers, like how speakers can assert power between themselves. There are 5 levels of language ideologies. There can be group or individual interest, where power relations can be studied. Multiplicity of ideologies, when ideologies are too many in a society. Then the power clash can be prevalent. Then how aware are the speakers of different languages that can give them power. Mediating functions of ideologies. What are the functions of their ideologies, what they want to achieve from those ideologies, and how language plays a role in that. Then what is the role of language ideology in identity construction, because there are many countries which are constructed on the basis of language issues. So after discussing all this, we can come to our conclusion that linguistic anthropology examines language through lenses of anthropological concerns. Through the lens of culture and society, you study language. You don't study language alone. When you study language in this subject, you have to consider the culture and society. The concerns include the transmission and production of culture, that how culture is transmitted and reproduced, and what is the relationship between cultural system and different sort of social organization and society, and what is the role of material conditions of existence in a people's understanding of the world, how people understand the world, what are their concepts, what are their ideologies, and how they achieve all of these things through language. So the relationship between environment, the culture, and the language of a people is self-reinforcing. That's all for today.